Okay.
Looks like Mary joined us. That's good.
Full house tonight.
Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, the other one of the invites that was sent out has midnight as the start time, and I know that some people are having a hard time getting in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess there was a second one sent today and updated. Was the township calendar updated with the new login information?
That's how I got to this one. So I was,
Okay, good. Thanks, Zach.
Mary, we're not staying till midnight, are we?
Oh, no. Joan, you tell me when to start. You think everybody's here?
I have admitted everyone who has been waiting. So yes,
Is Nancy on?
yes, everyone's, all the
Everyone's on.
supervisors.
Okay, well then we'll get started. That's all right. All right, I, Mary McVeigh, call the March 17th, 2021 Franklin Township Board of Supervisors meeting to order at 7 p.m. Also in attendance via Zoom are Vice Chair Dave Gerstenhaber, Supervisors Morris, Auerbach, and Day. Also in attendance are Solicitor Mark Thompson, Township Manager Joe McVall, Assistant Township Manager Jeff Eastburn, Secretary Mary Oprah, and do you know how many members of the public, Joan?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8.
8 members of the public. Okay, can we start off with the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, everyone. All right. We'll start out with public comment. If you choose to attend this meeting, you'll need to identify yourself. If your camera's off or you do not have a camera, you need to identify yourself anyway. And public comment now is for anything relating to items on tonight's agenda. The last public comment is for items not on tonight's agenda. It's important to state your name clearly for the recording so your comments can be reflected accurately. Please state whether you're a township resident or a township taxpayer. If you're using YouTube, you must type in your name and address before your comment will be recognized. If you do not identify yourself, your comments will not be reflected in the minutes. All right. Okay, Dave, it's all yours.
Is there any public comment on anything on the agenda tonight?
All right.
All right, well, thank you very much. Approval of minutes. I motion for the board to approve version 1 of the February 17th, 2021 Board of Supervisors minutes. And can I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Donna. Any discussion?
Excuse me, I'm electronically challenged and I was trying to make some public comment here and I guess it wasn't getting accepted.
Sure, that's fine. Go ahead.
May I have a moment?
Absolutely.
Thank you. My name is Wayne DeFrancesco. I am the trustee for the DeFrancesco Appleton Trust. I believe it's we're on the agenda a little later for the demolition permit application on 3327 Appleton Road. However, that application has been stayed until the next supervisors meeting. And I wanted to bring forth the request. We have made proposals to the township in the past, and recently, as early as today, Mr. Thompson and Mr. Gill have been working on a proposal to move ahead. And one of the issues in that proposal is that the lot line adjustment plan for the 1 Franklin Road house be signed tonight. And so I'd like to request that, in order to keep those discussions moving positively, that the supervisors execute that plan that has previously been approved.
Are you finished, Wayne? I just want
I
to,
am.
I don't want to interrupt.
No,
This is-
thank you.
I just wanted to, Mr. DeFrancesco, my name is Mark Thompson. Of course, we've been in discussion with your attorney, Mr. Gill, for quite some time. Recently, and, back in January and February, we did indicate in a letter that signing a lot line change plan, we couldn't do that, but I'm here to represent that, that is something that's being discussed. Not going to recommend that the board make a decision or take a decision on that request tonight, but that is something that is Mr. DeFrancesco, and I can confirm that based on the communications I've had with Ernie.
I thought we had met the parameters of arriving at step 1 and of this multi-step plan. We've been waiting for quite some time. We have the property on the market now and are getting a number of showings, which of course, if we're unable to provide a deed, we can't continue to market the property. What would be the harm? We've been waiting for since 2017 to have these plans signed, and what would be the harm in signing them tonight?
Well, I had, as recently as an hour ago, your attorney had called me that the signing of the plans or any action by the board was not the subject of discussion, and I was not aware that was something that you were going to request tonight. I'm not the board. I can only make recommendations to the board, but at this point, I don't believe we are in a position. We have an email or communications that were sent to you last month. They were just responded to a matter of days ago, and we are formulating a response, Mr. DeFrancesco. So I understand that was a request, but I have not responded to that request. We will respond this week, and I guess that's the best I can do. I'm not recommending that the board tonight take any action to sign a plan or take an action concerning the property at Appleton Road, 3327 Appleton.
This doesn't really pertain to Appleton Road as much as 1 Franklin Road and permitting us to do what the board approved in 2017.
Well, that property is the subject of a subdivision plan. It was approved by the board quite some time ago, and that subdivision plan had certain requirements on it concerning the historic dwelling on Appleton Road. And I think I had made the township's position fairly clear by a correspondence back in January concerning the inconsistency with that subdivision plan and the maintenance of a demolition application for that house. So we're not in a factual situation right now where I can recommend that the board take any action tonight, at least on that request. But I can tell you, Mr. DeFrancesco, is that I am discussing it with Mr. Gill, and hopefully we can move those discussions forward.
Will we have to wait for another supervisors meeting to, if the decision is made to move ahead with signing the plans?
We'll see. I'm not. Again, we've got a lot of factors that are being discussed. I'm not suggesting that is a requirement, but we can discuss it as we move forward if we can come to an agreement on a plan to put that historic dwelling back in a shape that satisfies the township. So no, I'm not going to say we have to wait until the next meeting, but we have not agreed on a final plan based on the request that you've made through your counsel.
I see. Puts us in a very untenable position. We can't offer a property for sale.
Happy going. Join the meeting.
So, all right, thank you. I appreciate your comments.
All right.
Any further public comment? Thank you very much. So we'll start again with the approval of the minutes. I motion for the board to approve version 1 of the February 17th, 2021 Board of Supervisors minutes. Seconded by?
Was Donna.
Donna, thank you. Discussion.
Yeah, I have a
If you're on the line and you're not speaking, just mute your microphone. Thank you.
Yeah, I have
Mute. John, you may want to sign out and sign in again. There must be something going on there.
Dawn?
John,
I think it was me. I'm gonna leave just in case.
if you go ahead, if everyone's muted, it should be all right.
all right. I haven't had this problem in the past, so I don't know what it is.
Usually that happens if you have two microphones open in the same room.
All right. I just shut something off. I just shut a set of speakers off on another computer, so that might have been it. So, all right. The comment I have is on the business section, paragraph C. Last sentence of that paragraph said that the township spent $40,000 trying to address the issue. The actual number is 48,000.
So we should be able to make that change.
But John, this is the figure from last month.
Yeah, that's the number last month. Now it's 50,000, but that was 48,000 last month. I got the email right in front of me here.
Yes,
Yeah.
but we didn't have that number at the night of the meeting, and it was an estimate.
John, what if we just say set that approximately? Would you be happy with that? And then, I think we're making the point.
So I think John's got a point, but I think we can update it for this meeting, because last meeting that's where we were at, and then this meeting we are now at what, 48?
We're at 50 now, but we're at 48 last month.
And Dave, we could change it to 48. That's, I mean,
Yeah, but if that's the number, that's the number. It is what it is.
so Mary, is that okay? Can you take that note and if there aren't any other comments?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, Joan, as long as you agree that that's accurate for the time that we had this meeting, I'm okay with it.
I will go back and check my numbers.
Yeah, just make sure, double check, and if it is accurate, leave it. If it's not accurate, update it to John's number, and we can reflect John's statement in this month's minutes.
Okay, I'm
Correct
satisfied.
the record. Yeah. All right. Thanks, John.
Are we still voting to approve it, with the condition of this change?
We need to vote on it, I hope.
Yep.
You should be able to, right?
Okay.
Well, but Dave will call the vote.
Yep. So, so there will be, so Joan will go back, check the accuracy of the number and section C. So all in favor in approving version 1 of the February 17, 2021 Board of Supervisors minutes with the contingency of updating the value for the section C of the business area. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, David.
Moving to reports, I make a motion that the board approve the February 2021 Treasurer's Report, which includes the following disbursements. The general fund with disbursements and transfers of $183,199.57. The Park and Recreation Fund with disbursements of $646.30. The Open Space Fund with disbursements of $6,098.75. The Capital Reserve Fund with disbursements of $1,467.50. The Fire Hydrant Fund with disbursements of $580.80, leaving a balance in all funds totaling $658,346.36. Seconded by?
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries 5-0.
All right, we're doing the zoning officer report. In February 2021, 11 permits were issued, $7,766.71 in building fees. There was $3,510.60 collected in impact fees, and $3,275 in miscellaneous fees were collected. 28 inspections were performed. Hold on just a second here. I got interference with another computer. Let's see where I left it out. 28 inspections were performed. There are 2 ongoing bamboo zoning issues reported. First issue was for 116 Peacedale Road. A non-traffic citation was entered at the district court on March 2nd, 2021. The second bamboo remediation was not started for 4 Duncan Lane. Complainant was contacted for a written update on March 3rd, 2021. They had not been given a quote for removal, still wanted the bamboo removed, but had concerns about the contractor being on their property. Probably the worst ordinance we ever passed in the township.
Donna, I think you're next.
I'll move on. All right, so the PC held a meeting on March 4th, 2021. PC Chair Dave Hoffman will provide an update. So Dave, could you provide an update, please?
Yeah, thank you. Very simple update. We continued our review of general codes, editorial and legal analysis of our ordinances, and we limited our review to continuing in the zoning, chapter 27. And we completed our review with comments based upon whether we recommend their suggested changes or whether it needs to go forward to Mr. Thompson for review. And I believe that's where our review goes next. Correct, Joan?
Actually, Jeff Vogels and I went through the rest of the ordinances and today I spent time typing in the information so that I can send it to Mark for his review of the ones that we thought needed the lawyer's expertise. So as soon as he's done with that, then it'll come back actually to the board, because I believe the PC said they didn't need to see it again once we updated those changes.
That's correct.
Okay, so then when Mark is finished with it, it'll go on to the board.
Okay. And we had no other business.
So Dave, are you pretty happy with what the review has been looking like, what you've been reviewing? Does the documents look pretty good?
I mean, I think it's worthwhile. We had a healthy and sometimes interesting discussion. But you know, it's necessary. I think the one thing that came up and will be in Joan's review, and maybe some of that might come back to us, is timber harvesting and forestry is an issue that was noted several times.
Yeah, and we talked about it at the last meeting, so it's on our radar screen too. So
Right.
Thanks for the comments. Sorry about that. I should know. I'm next again. So the HARB and Historical Commission did not hold a meeting on March 2021. I don't know, Paul, if there's anything you want to tell us, or?
No, not particularly. My only expectation of speaking at this meeting was if there were any questions I needed to answer concerning 3327. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. Mary, I'll move on to the next one. Is that okay? Okay. So the next item is the Park, Recreation, and Open Space. Board Chairman Sachs will provide a brief update regarding the PRO's March 3rd, 2021 meeting. Greg, there you are. Hi, Greg.
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, everyone. All right, so I'm going to focus on, I know at the last meeting, the priorities of some of the projects and the estimates were a concern. So we're going to focus, I'm going to go in order of priorities and kind of review where we're at with those and the estimates. So priority number one is the tennis courts. I know Paul spoke a good amount with that, and I believe the supervisors are voting on that this evening. But just to review, we had 3 estimates to do resurface the courts. We recommended that you go with McGinn of the court surfacing. We had additional estimates for the crack that's located in between the tennis courts. And our recommendation was for Yardworks to do that repair. And that was without the fence removal, which is located right near that crack. Second priority was the healing garden. So we've made a lot of progress on that. So first, I believe we mentioned this before, but just to go over it, we were offered a donation, which was a very nice, generous donation of $2,500 for an installation of the gardens. And it was in memorial of a woman who passed away. The $2,500 again was for the installation, and that there was an additional $750 per year for 5 years for the ongoing maintenance. which will help along a lot for us because, the first couple years with a garden is going to be the toughest part for maintenance. As it goes on, the plants will grow and kind of fill in the space. So, ideally, if the garden's planted in a correct fashion, the maintenance will go down. We did get about, I'm sorry, let me see. We got 3 estimates or 4 estimates in total for design and some of the work that, has been discussed that's needed in the garden. So a couple of the design estimates, one was $5,900 for the design, and total was about $15,000 for the work. Another design was between $960 to about $2,000 for design. And this company, they wanted to basically do the whole project themselves, not really outsource any of the work. So they, depending on the complexity of the project, they said it'd be about $10,000 to $20,000 total. We got an additional estimate from a company that charges per hour, and they are willing to work with us as far as whether they do, design or maintenance or installation. So they charged $40 per hour on all that work. They estimated if they were going to do it from design to installation to maintenance, it'd be about 100 hours. And without design, it'd be about 90 hours. Now, a big point is the meeting that we had today, which was with, her name is Karen, and she's with Natural Lands. And she is working on putting together a grant opportunity for us, which will help with the design, as well as kind of the maintenance schedule. She said, she's a landscape architect, but she's willing to basically help guide us as far as the maintenance, work with, who we use, whether it's Yard Works or whoever to do the right things at the right time in the gardens. She even mentioned she could help us out with possible volunteers to help with installation, maintenance, that kind of stuff. The deal with this grant, and it's through the William Penn Grant Foundation, is it's basically it's a match, and she would, like I said, would provide the design, but we're looking at about a $2,500 request for the match. Now that can't go towards the materials, but that's where the donation would come in. The $2,500 would cover $2,000 for a match, and then the additional $500 would basically start going towards materials, plus, like I said, the donation. So, the way we see it is we're kind of gonna piecemeal it, because we got another estimate from a company who was also willing to work with us as far as whether it's cleaning up, the wood chips that are old wood chips, the rotting boards that are there, and the stones that are kind of in need of refreshing. So his estimate was $530 for just the cleanup and the wood repair. That also included an idea that we had, which was basically cutting a pathway through the center of that shrub wall behind the parking lot there, just making it more accessible and more visible for visitors. Because as of right now, all you really see when you pull into the parking lot is that wall of shrubs, and not a lot of people even seem to know there's a garden space back there. His other estimate was to remulch and redo the stones on the walkways. That estimate was for $1,020. So where we stand with the healing gardens is we're looking to, our recommendation or request is a commitment letter from the board for the 2,500, which again would match that grant and also get us started on some of the material work that we can put towards with the donation. All right, so moving on from the healing garden, unless there's any questions on those.
Well, I actually have, let me see, I actually have a comment to make, and I do this, I want to do this very respectfully.
Sure.
This is really difficult for me to I'm glad you're laying this out, but it'd be much better if it was in a piece of paper. Like if we had in our meeting books the proposals laid out, very similar to what Paul did for the tennis courts. You know, lay out, this is what this person said, this is what this person said, this is what this person said, and we recommend this. Now,
Okay.
I can sit here and take notes, but it just would be, I prefer to have it in my meeting book before we come to the meeting, and
Sure.
then the whole board's at the same place. And then, of course, I want to hear your recommendation, just like you're doing right now. And I personally would be in a better place to say I support this. To me, this is all coming at once. And
I
I can
understand.
tell you, I'm not prepared to say yes or no, though I think these are all great ideas. I'd rather just have it laid out. So is that, Greg, am I asking too much? Could you think you guys could do that? I mean, continue to do what you're doing now, but before next meeting, or even if you want to give it to us before then, lay out what the proposals are, give us your recommendation, as you're doing in a priority order, and then we'll be in a better position. Because our next question would be to Joan, do we have the money?
Right.
And we
Sure.
and then we could say, yes, you have
Yeah,
this.
and I definitely understand that, and you know, it was all kind of coming in last minute, and that's kind of why, you know, we weren't able to get to all these estimates and whatnot. Like literally, I met with Karen from Natural Lands like 5 hours ago.
No, I think this is a lot of work on your part. It's just hard. And maybe we get the tennis courts done tonight, and then we work on what's next.
Right.
At the
Yeah.
next meeting. Go ahead.
Yeah, I
Okay,
understand.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. All right, so I'll move on to the next priority, which is number 3. So we lumped these two together because the way we see it as they're both going to be done by the same contractor, and those are the pickleball court, which is, just to review, that's changing the angle of the pickleball court so we can fit 3 courts in there instead of the 1 court which is currently there, and that would fit in the current space that is there, so no adjustments on that part. And also the comfort station, which is the sidewalk is basically coming apart from the actual comfort station and is in need of, the caulking is in need of repair there. And again, you only got, I believe, a couple of the estimates, so that was incomplete, you know, before we got these other estimates that came in last minute, just like the gardens. So, you know, we feel like we should probably shelf that until you see the estimates, because the one we were going to recommend was included in your book, but there was an adjustment as far as the work that the contractor is going to do. Just as far as putting the posts in, he estimated it as far as basically digging a hole and drilling a hole and putting in the post into the ground. And the actual companies recommend putting some concrete down there so the pole doesn't actually move. So for now, we're you know, considering shelving that until we get you all the up-to-date estimates. So next up is one that you do have all the paperwork on, which is the water fountain. That's number 4. With the water fountain, what our recommendation is, and we went through, you know, many different water fountain options. We explored also different manufacturers and styles. We looked at the current model that's there and replacing that. And our recommendation is the model, it's called the dual Bauman, BAHLMAN. It's ADA compliant, and it has 2 fountains, and it also has a pet fountain located on the bottom. The price of this is $1,855 plus 500 in installation. This, just to compare the replacement for the current model, which is there, which is the Hawes 3177, was almost $1,000 more. So that one was $2,831 plus installation. So with this recommendation, we get an extra fountain on the front, and we get a dog bowl for, people walking their dogs. So that's where we stand with that one.
Can I ask you a question about the dog? Are
Sure.
you worried at all about? I just worry that people are going to mess with the dog bowl. Like, I don't know, put crap in it, or did you think about that? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's definitely a consideration. I mean, we hope that no one, does any damage to our equipment, but that's always something that definitely could happen. But again, the one without the dog bowl was more expensive. So, I mean, yeah, I guess that's definitely a factor, but.
So I guess if they break the dog bowl, we're still saving $1,000 on the bubbler. Is that
right?
What you're trying to say?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
there was no other option. So you talked about two options for the water fountain. There were no other options that would have been similar to what you have and no dog bowl. I mean, did you look at other companies?
Yeah, there were many other options. Most were even more money or closer to that higher one. This is one.
Have you heard of people doing something with the dog bowl?
Well, it's I can just see it's on the ground. It's like you could throw crap stuff in it. I can see problems where folks are just, and I'm thinking kids, they'll throw rocks in it or sand or dirt or, because it's there. Like, it's just easy to mess with. The fact that it's not that it's cheaper than without having it is I can hear what you're saying, Greg. It makes sense to at least give it a try, because if everything else you looked at actually cost more and gave us less.
Yeah, and there's no option for, people to give their dogs water, whether, they could obviously bring their own bowl or bring their own water. Right. But, it's definitely a nice feature. The park is a very sunny park, so water, I think, is crucial for people and animals there.
I hope it's another one that we could work on, that we could agree to tonight, because I think as long as COVID, I don't know what the rules are with COVID, but as long as COVID doesn't stop us from using a water fountain, I agree, we need to get a functional water fountain.
And we did run it past our plumber, and he is happy with it and feels it will fit in the same spot. And it does come with a 1-year manufacturer's warranty, and then the plumber warrants it for a year with his installation hookup.
All right. I mean, I'm not the only one here. Has any other board member want to comment? I can support it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I could support it based on what I heard, and just anecdotally, last couple of weekends I've been going to the parks, and there have been a lot of dogs running around. So I think the dog bowl addition is probably a good addition. And if we can save some money while doing it, that's not a bad thing either. So. Okay, well,
I think we get to talk about this later on. It's good for Greg to lay it out, and then we get to vote later on in the meeting where we actually have a resolution for what we're going to support. So, anything else, Greg, in your list?
So just the last one on our priority list was number 5, which was the ceiling of the parking lot and the basketball court, which go together. We've received 2 estimates on that. There was 4 other companies contacted that we have not heard back from. I know it's been a little while on some of those companies, so I don't know if we will hear back on some of those. But we recommend going with the superior seal coating, but we do have, there's still questions I know up in the air. The engineer, Ron Reagan, is going to get back to us on some of the questions regarding the seal coating versus the tar and chipping. So, whether it's better to go with that in the road budget and doing it all together, and saving money that way. So that, we put that at the bottom because we're still also waiting to hear more info on that one.
So, is that the end of the list?
That's what we have as far as, the projects that we're working on at this point.
Okay, so what I would propose to the board is that we talk about the tennis court and the water fountain later in the meeting when we have the business we have a resolution that goes along with it, and that Greg, you continue to work on the other items and bring them back to us. Continue to keep them in priority order, and then I think the next step we go to Joan, and Joan would give us a sense of what the budget looks like for these other things, and then we can work on that. Is that or Mary, are you okay with that?
Greg, give us the total for McGinn and for the crack from Yardworks.
McGinn for the tennis courts?
Yes, please.
All right. So what I have here is $15,645 for McGinn.
Yeah, plus you have $2,204 for a minor crack repair, which made it $17,849.
Correct.
Right, and then the $4,790 for that large crack in between.
Okay.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, for a total of $22,700.
Right.
Right, a process question. I don't know that we normally approve spending through resolutions. Joan, what do you suggest we do?
We have done that. Well, we've done it through motions, but I believe that's what we are doing, a motion, is it not?
Yes, later in the meeting in the business section.
It's a motion.
Okay, I thought you were asking for a resolution. Gotcha.
Oh, I'm sorry, I used the wrong word. Sorry, Nancy.
No worry.
Yeah. So Greg, good work. I mean, once again, we applaud you for all the work that you and the group are doing and bringing these ideas to us. I think you understand there is only limited money, but we've all agreed the tennis court is something we've been looking at for a number of years now. We want to move on that, so we'll have that conversation. And I think your other, the other stuff, the healing garden, you'll come back with some more information on that, but I think that's shaping up really well. And we'll get a better sense of pickleball courts and basketball courts, lay that out for us and check the budget with Joan, and we can talk about it at the next meeting.
Okay. Sounds good. I appreciate it.
Well, and I'd like to make a comment, Greg.
Yeah.
You, Paul Overton, Jeff Eastburn, I don't know if everybody's aware how really hard you have worked on getting all these prices, how many times you've gone out to the park. And you're really trying to make our park really shining, really good. And you put a tremendous amount of work into this, and we really do appreciate it. We really do. And we'll get it done. It's just, it all has to come together. So
yeah, no problem. And
thank you.
It's definitely been a group effort. The whole pro board has been very helpful, and everyone's definitely helped and added their part. And I think all these kind of projects kind of tie together. It's all gonna, if you do one and the other one's kind of falling apart, it kind of degrades the quality of the one project you do. So,
right.
So yeah, I mean, we're definitely looking forward to making some moves and improving our parks for everyone.
All right, thanks, Greg.
So thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Yep.
All right, Mary, it's back to you. I think I've caused enough damage, so go do your thing.
I'm going to introduce Kathy Goen to give us an update on the comprehensive plan, where we stand on that, Kathy.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Great. I haven't fed the hamsters enough here, so Zoom was giving me a hard time on audio. It's very nice to see everyone. My name is Kathy Goen, and happy St. Patty's Day. I want to thank the board and all of our Franklin Township neighbors and friends for time on tonight's agenda so we can provide an update on the activities of the Comprehensive Plan Task Force Committee. Since June 2020, we've been meeting on a monthly basis, and personally, it became my big night out last year and a great opportunity to meet up with some of our fellow Franklin Township residents as we went through the plan. In accordance with the project scope and schedule that was provided to the board, we are pleased to report that the task force is on schedule. We were energized by the feedback we received from our Franklin Township neighbors about what they would like to see in the plan from the online survey that was conducted, subject area interviews. We had 2 community meetings, one in September 2020 and one in January of this year. And now we're starting to draft chapters in support of all of the feedback and start reviewing those chapters this month. The plan itself is, the writing is broken down into chapters, and this editing process is expected to occur through June of this year. As we kick off this writing step, we would like to take this opportunity to inform the board that as the chapters become available, you will receive chapters that include notes made by members of the task force so that you're aware of the content as it is developed. And if you have any comments, they can be considered in the same manner as comments generated by members of the task force, which is during task force meetings. When the entire plan is ready for submission to the Franklin Township Planning Commission, which is slated to occur later this year, simultaneously, a courtesy copy of the plan will be provided to this board. The Township Planning Commission will have a public information meeting to review the draft plan, make any revisions they see fit, and then the Planning Commission will recommend the plan to the Board of Supervisors for review and adoption. On behalf of the Comprehensive Plan Task Force, I just want to express our thanks to the board for your support of this process and ongoing collaborative spirit as we create a meaningful, comprehensive plan for our beautiful Franklin Township. Thank you and have a great evening.
So Kathy, don't go anywhere. I just want to thank you. I was one of the Board of Supervisors members at the last meeting that requested a mechanism in which we could provide comments. And I want to thank you for working it through with Joan and working it through with your committee to allow us to look at it. And I think it's a great idea. Getting it chapter by chapter is going to be so much easier to manage. And once again, I view my comments as comments. It's not a veto. It's not you must do this. It's more about have you thought about this, and you guys have that opportunity then at a meeting to decide do you want to do it or not. And I think that just will make it will make it easier for us. So I thank you for accommodating my request.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
All right. And any more questions for Kathy or comments?
Thank you for doing what you're doing. It's not easy, I know.
No, thank you, Kathy.
Sure.
Okay, then we'll move on. The next one is the Franklin Township Sportsmen's Association. They have nothing to report. Their last reporting period was February. Their hunting season is over. So no report from the Franklin Township Sportsmen's Association. Now we can move into business.
All right, so we're moving on to business. I make a motion to approve the Eagle Scout project request for Crossan Park from Ryan Gaydos for not more than $500. Seconded by?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Nancy.
I'd like some discussion on that.
Oh, let me get to it.
Yep.
Discussion. All right, now you can go.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Ryan, you're here on the meeting, correct? I was looking at the pictures you sent to the township. I was having trouble with them. Some of them, like the dark green ones, I didn't know what they were. I saw 4 trees.
We might be able to share a screen and show the plans on the meeting. If someone, maybe Joan, if you you might be able to share your screen and show us
Okay.
what Mary's talking about.
Just a second here. Okay, Ryan should be able to
Okay.
share his drawings.
Okay. So let me go down. So right here where we have the tree placement, anywhere you see a circle is where a tree plans to be, or I would plan to put them. And the spaces in the parking lots, I plan to make the hickories. The space in the middle would be the swamp white oak. And then on the next picture, originally, that's where I planned to put the birdhouses. But I talked with Mr. Sachs a little bit more, and he said he'd rather have them more towards the meadows, a little bit more south. So I'd say the ones that are mostly towards the back of the park would be moved forward. And then the tree placement up in the most south parking lot would be the white flowering pagoda dogwood.
So
How many birdhouses are you looking at there?
This is 8. It's they're pairs of 2 where I'm going to put them. They're going to be around 15 yards away from each other, and like the pair itself, and then from the next pair it'll be over 100 yards. That way the bluebirds don't get in any fights.
Okay. And how about that tree, the dogwood up in the parking lot? I see it surrounded by asphalt. That tree likes protection in the afternoon. Is it going to have to deal with the hot sun? And I don't know. Have you looked at that?
I mean, I've put it in there. The tree protectors, they're like 5 feet. That'll protect it from the sun beating down. But I believe the other 3 are also dogwoods. And I guess if they were planted there, they did well as they did. So I would think it should do fine if I'm watering it well enough and it's got the protector on it.
Okay.
Yeah,
How
Mary-
do you plan on watering the trees like down in the lower part of the park, Ryan? There's no water source down there.
I'm in possession of like the larger few gallon watering jugs or like drinking jugs that people fill water bottles with. I was going to take one of those, put in the back of my car with a watering can, and then drive to the park myself and water them. And we have like 2 of those, and my troop has probably a dozen that if I needed to borrow them, I could.
Okay. Will you be around in the fall to do this, Ryan, or are you going off to college? I don't know.
I'm a junior right now, so I'll still be here.
You'll still be here. Okay, because the fall is very important. And Ryan, I guess the last question is, do you think it's possible? I mean, we were hoping for more trees. They wouldn't be as large as the ones you're looking at. Do you think we could get closer to 10 or 12 trees? And maybe we could work with Joan or whoever and find trees that don't cost as much as the ones you're looking at. And therefore we could get 10 or 12 trees instead of, you're looking at 4 trees, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You think that's possible? We could look at.
After I presented to the Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Committee, Paul Overton said there was probably another nursery I hadn't contacted that I might be able to get lower priced trees from. And also Go Native they have a lot lower prices than Gateway Gardens did. So I might look back there and see if there's any other trees I'd rather get. And also I was given I was donated $300 for my project last night. One of our adults leaders, his mother is very much loves scouting, and she wanted to help me with this. So that should help with getting more trees. You're still muted. I can't tell
Can't hear me? I don't know how to unmute myself here.
You're fine, Mary.
You're good now.
You can hear me? Ryan, what is your time schedule on this? Because I know it all ties in with you turning 18 and getting everything done, like, so we know what we're looking at here. You know,
I turned 17 in June, so I would
you
have
got time. Okay.
Yeah, I would have no problem watering them for a while, but I would like to have the trees in and the birdhouses probably by the end of June.
End of June. Okay. So we'll work on getting more trees, correct?
Yes.
With the pro on that. That's great.
Hey, Mary,
Yes?
if I can just answer your question, the dogwood, so there's there's 4 of those boxes in the parking lot. And
Okay.
the other 3 there are dogwoods.
Okay.
I know they're kind of an understory shrub, but I've looked at them and they all seem real healthy. So they
That's
seem
all
to
that
be
matters.
happy there. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Greg. Appreciate that.
Ryan, can I ask you a question? I read your project report, and there's a section where you said, why is this project needed and what makes it helpful? And you talked about the project will help improve the condition of the asphalt in certain areas of the park. I just don't understand. I can understand that it helps with the air and the birds and the fauna, but how does it improve asphalt? Can you help me understand that?
Yeah, so down here by the lower parking lots, the hickories are around 80 to 100 feet tall when they're fully grown, and they have a large canopy. And when the sun is beating down on the asphalt for hours at a time during the summer, that's going to start to wear down on it. I probably shouldn't have said improve, but it would slow down the asphalt breaking apart.
Okay.
That would have been a better wording. That's my fault.
No, it's not your fault. You're doing a great job. But it's the idea that the canopy provides protection from the sun, and that will allow the asphalt to last a little bit longer. Okay.
Yep.
All right, Ryan, John Auerbach, I have a couple of comments and suggestions related to watering. There are some specialized watering bags that the contractors use to water trees. Essentially, it's some kind of a plastic bag reservoir that wraps around the base of the tree, and you just have to keep it full, and it dispenses the water at some particular rate rather than you having to go to water them. You might want to look into that. I don't know where to buy them, but I've seen them used throughout the township in various developments.
John, I think I have a couple in my garage that Ryan can have. Seriously.
It's a way of keeping them watered regularly without having as much attention as you're proposing.
Yeah.
The other comment is that, we only provide $500, but the local businesses have been very supportive of Eagle Scout projects. I know Lowe's and Home Depot have been very helpful to Scouts in the past with donated materials. So I wouldn't be afraid to talk to them or really any other local business that, provides the material you're looking for. So you're pretty likely to get a very favorable response if you approach those businesses. So that's my comment.
Yeah, I only learned this last night, but I think it's the one of the managers of the Lowe's in Avondale used to be a Scoutmaster, so he loves helping Scouts out when they need things from Lowe's. So I will probably be in contact with him.
Right, he's a good contact. So that's been very helpful to Scouts in the past, and they've gotten a fair amount of donated material for that. So, all right, very good.
Oxford Hay and Grain is another one too you may want to check out.
And Ryan, I commend you for getting to this point. It is not easy to get to the point to be able to try an Eagle Scout project. My own son's an Eagle Scout. And so I know how hard it is to get to the point where you're at. And good for you. You have a year to go. My son did it. He had 6 hours before he turned 18. So there you go.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Yep.
Should we vote?
Yep. Let's vote. Okay.
Okay, so all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries 5-0.
All right.
Okay, I make a motion to approve resolution 2021-08, renewal license for the SFA. Seconded by.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Could we have some discussion on this?
Yeah.
The pro committee would like us to wait till next month to renew this license. They have some things they're going over about the FSA and compliance. So they would just like a little time to look through this, and maybe we could put this on our April agenda since it's not hunting season. So I don't think 1 month would be a big deal. Is anybody opposed to that we do this in April instead of tonight?
So we'll just shelve it for now and revisit it next month.
Exactly, till
Okay.
April.
Yep.
I guess the only comment I would have is if there was going to be any problems with it, just make sure that that's captured in the briefing book ahead of time so we can discuss it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree. I'd make sure, because there's no, I mean, is there any, I mean, the hunting season doesn't start for several months, so let's just make sure we have all our information before the meeting.
Exactly.
And then we can make our decision. I don't think there's any, anything imminent, so.
There's not a problem with waiting until April.
What are the
Okay.
specific issues that are being considered by the pro related to their license renewal?
What was that, John?
What are the specific issues that they're concerned about related to the license renewal?
I don't know, John, but they've asked if we could just give them a month to look at things. And being it's not hunting season, I don't see where that would be a problem if we visit this in April and sort of shelve it this month.
Well, I'm concerned about.
Let Greg speak.
Yeah,
What's
I can
that?
give you a little feedback there. So we recently got the rules that from Joan that the hunting group agreed to, and we just haven't had a chance to review and make sure everything's compliant with them.
So can we vote to shelve this till
I don't
April?
think we have to vote. I think we just take it off and then vote next month.
Vote next month. Thank you, Nancy. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. There's no rush, so,
Okay. All right. Well then, John, we'll move on to you for the next item, please. Thank you.
Make a motion to approve the letter of support for the grant application for tree planting project in support of our MS4 requirements. By the second.
I'll second that.
Second by David. Discussion.
Joan, could you jump in here? I don't know who's on the meeting that may
Shane
want to talk.
Shane Morgan is on and she will.
Okay,
explain
Shane, would you like to enlighten us?
Sure. So do I have the capability of sharing my screen right now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right, let me do that. Okay. So you can see this map right here. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. There's been a slight tweak. I'm not going to ask for it for White Clay Knoll at this point. So I wanted to explain that. I think Joan knew we had Keene as a backup. There were two buffer projects that we were looking at. So I didn't get out there in February because of all the snow that never melted. So I met with the HOA member this past Monday morning and we walked the property. And something I learned of a little bit before this walk, which is why I put Keene on the back burner, was that they have a interesting arrangement with the farmer who is adjacent to their open space, where I guess when the development was formed, they told me it was a 100-year lease agreement with this farmer to use their open space. So his horses pasture out here and they have complete access to the creek, and there's actually a fence that is part of that farm that's covered in brambles, so you can't really see it from the road until you're down there, but it pretty much goes like the way these red lines are. So this whole area is pretty much taken out. I can't get a grant when there's horses that are running around in an area. So basically it didn't really leave much room. The fence crosses the creek, so we wouldn't be even able to get in here. And just to give you perspective, the green line is a 35-foot buffer. The yellow line is a 100-foot buffer. So it just wasn't feasible. So thank goodness Paul Overton was able to meet me on last minute notice to go walk the Keene property. And so we went out and looked at this property off of Auburn Road. You guys have a trail easement. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the trail easement is right here. That goes kind of down into, that isn't the trail easement, is it? It goes down into Bamshire. But at any rate, this is all farmed. There's two little tributaries that come through here and two ponds, and it looks like it's buffered, but it's really pretty much just stuff that's overgrown, a lot of invasive species, not a ton of mature trees. And so it showed up in our buffer gap analysis as an area that does need buffering. I contacted Natural Lands probably a year ago to ask them about the easement and if they would be, if this would, I assumed it would fit in, but I wanted to check. And of course they said, yes, it's in the conservation area, high priority area. So we walked it today. It's definitely going to be a lot of work because of the invasive species, and they would all have to be removed and the site would have to be prepped. It was, I believe, included in your TMDL plan as well as White Clay Knoll. This one I think is feasible. The DCNR grant, the minimum ask is $50,000, but they allow for pre-planting maintenance as well as post-planting maintenance, which I think is ideal for this site due to the invasives. And so the bulk of the cost is really coming into a lot of that, as well as installing in some of the materials. So our committee voted last week to put 7,500 towards this. And then obviously my time in kind managing the project and the grant. And then what I was asking is for Franklin to put in 20,000 and 10,000 in kind. Now the in kind could be mowing, weed whacking, services like that would help with the maintenance. So that might be something that we need to discuss. But if you're using it for your stormwater permit, the O&M is key regardless, because you need these trees to survive to keep getting the credit for the project. And your former engineer calculated a potential load reduction of about 49,000 pounds per year, which is a pretty big reduction from these buffers. I think it might be more than that, because I'm pretty sure he calculated on these green lines, the 35-foot buffers, but these slopes are so steep that to get a better sediment reduction, they recommend 100-foot buffers. We prefer 100-foot buffers regardless. So I would have them recalculate that number, and it might even be more. So that's the projects in a nutshell. The grant is due April 14th. It's about 8 acres of planting. I'd love to have a contractor do the 6 acres, and then we do a volunteer after it's all cleared out and we see how it looks. We do 2 acres, maybe 2 separate volunteer plantings to get some more in kind. So the match has to be 50-50, and the numbers, in order to get the numbers to work out, that's kind of how it was with our cash and in-kind contributions and then the volunteers. So that's that in a nutshell. And real quick, I just want to go back to White Clay Knoll, because for future reference, while I was out there, I walked around with the HOA member and we looked at the basins, of which you have 3 really large ones right here. And then there's a little teeny one here. And then there's one at the entrance up here that's not on my map. They total about 1.3 acres in surface area, and they're completely mowed. So I know you have basin retrofits in your stormwater permit as well. And he was interested in cutting down on mowing everything all the time. So this might be another opportunity to work with this homeowner association to get credits for your stormwater permit. So I just wanted to bring that up as well. So that's it. If you guys have questions for me, this is the budget. I sent it to Joan earlier. I don't know if it got to you guys, but I broke down all the maintenance activities based on Stroud's estimates, and then the number of years maintenance and the number of acres. And then same thing with the materials. This is based on some of our other tree plantings, same with labor. So I think my estimates are all pretty spot on, with possibly the exception of the site prep. The slopes are steeper than I could tell on the map, and covered in invasives. And there's some serious vine issues as well. So I'm probably high on that, but I wanted to have a buffer for that. So that's kind of how it all worked out. And so do you guys have questions for me?
Yeah.
So Shane, I don't really have a question for you yet. I want to start with Joan. And just for the public too, like, this is work that we have to do. Maybe not just necessarily this project, but we have to do stormwater management. So this will go towards our commitment for stormwater management. So it's not money that's being it's not that it would ever be thrown away, but there's a lot of value in us doing this, I think is the message that I want to get through. And Joan, we have money in the budget for this, right? We budget for the stormwater work.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, that's true.
Yes, and originally, I think we were prepared to spend a lot more money. And then we really, thanks to Paul, we started talking about tree planting. And this is a fraction of what we thought we were going to have to spend originally.
And the good news too, I think you make a good point, Nancy. We all look at the tree planting as something that is much more sustainable and something that can't just get washed away with a storm. And I think, Shane, you've educated us on that this is probably a good way to go if we have that opportunity. So it sounds like it's a win-win all around, unless someone else sees some kind of objection that I'm missing.
And what is the match? It looks like 50,000 out of the township budget.
No, that's the total match. So it would be 20,000 out of the township budget,
All right, okay.
7,500 from us, so 7,500 from the Wild and Scenic program. And then the rest of the match is in kind. So 10,000 in kind. And I don't know how you want to do this, because after I thought about this, you don't have a public works department. So I was thinking that 10,000 would go towards mowing. So I don't know if it makes more sense to make that cash. And I don't know if you pay like a farmer to do the mowing like at Franklin Preserve, or if you have someone on staff who's doing that. But that's why I put that into in kind. And then the volunteer hours also count for in kind. And then my time managing the grant counts as in kind. So the 50,000, it's 50,000 cash from the grant, and that's the minimum ask. Yeah. And then 50,000 basically cash plus in kind.
All right, Shane, just one comment here. We've considered this tree planting for the last 3 years. It's not really a new idea. It was a neat way to reduce our commitment to and still meet the requirements of MS4. And also we would have something that wouldn't wash away, like some kind of stream bank work. There is one issue. We have had some mixed success with some of the tree plantings. The one in particular we have difficulty with is Goodwin. And that has got a tremendous influx of vines and invasive species. And that takes a tremendous amount of maintenance to keep those vines intact. What do you think about the landscape over here in Keene? Do you see many vines or stuff like that? That's been a real problem for us in the past.
Oh yes, it's a huge problem. It's a problem for all your natural areas and any tree planting. And so that's why, so if you look at, where did I put it? I estimated $12,000 to just prep the site, like mowing it, possibly treating it with rodeo and getting the vines. There's no way it can be planted without that type of prep. And then the maintenance after the trees are planted, Stroud advocates that you do a spray around each tube about 3 feet wide of herbicide. I would probably recommend that for this one as well. And I also included stone mulch in there. So that's a new method of keeping voles away and also helping the tree get established so that the weeds don't grow in that 15-inch perimeter. So I've put everything on here that would possibly work for invasive species. But the key is really the mowing in the first 3 years, possibly longer. And in this case, it would be mowing and weed whacking because some of the slopes are fairly steep.
Goodwin's a pretty mature spot, and we're constantly battling with vines over there. If we ever let that go, it would immediately revert back. So the vine maintenance is extremely important.
Yeah. So here's some, other things that we could do is, form a group that goes out once a year, cuts the vines and paints them. I know you guys have a relationship with the hunting association at Franklin Preserve that I learned about today, doing that, but it's something that could be done at these properties as well. And we could try it.
Yeah, it's something I'm involved with my own property here. I had to go, in fact, we're getting ready to start that. We had to go around with a chainsaw and cut them all off.
Yeah, there's nothing, I'm not going to deny it. The most important thing to get these trees established is the post-planting management and the pre-planting site prep. And this is a difficult site. That's why White Clay Knoll was the one I was favoring until I found out about the farmer relationship. So it's still
The vines will win if you don't maintain it, so.
agreed. Agreed.
All right, I don't have any other comments. I think it's a good thing. It's a reasonably economical way of satisfying some of our MS4 requirements, so I would proceed.
Can I add a comment that kind of just piggybacks on the MS4 stuff? That if that's okay, it's
Sure.
in relation to the gardens. So when I met with Karen from Natural Land, she also mentioned that, with the gardens, that would help and assist in the MS4 and the stormwater work for our township. So I just wanted to add that part in as another bonus to the garden work that we're planning. Sorry to interrupt that.
It's another win-win, so we're all about that.
Okay. So should we take a vote on this?
Yeah.
Any more discussion?
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll take a vote. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Okay, the motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. So
Thank you.
I'll keep you posted. I don't think we find out if we get the grant until the fall. So,
Okay, thank you, Shane.
all right.
Okay, I'll send this letter off to you, Shane.
Joan, that's the other thing. I have to update it and send it to you because I put East Branch in there and now
Okay.
it's the Middle Branch. So I'll send
Okay.
it tonight. All right.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Shane.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Bye-bye.
All right, Donna, you want to talk about park projects?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to say the motion as I think it should be said, and then we can change
Okay.
it if needed, or, and then we can talk about it. So I make a motion to approve the following park projects. Project number 1 would be the McGinn Yard Works proposal for the tennis court, and project number 2 would be the installation of the purchasing and installation of the Bowman water fountain, as recommended by the PRO committee. Could I have a second for that?
I'll second that.
And also the yard works, Donna, we have to fix the crack if we do the tennis courts.
Well, I don't think I don't know if we
That's
got.
not McGinn, that's yard works to fix the crack.
It's included in the number.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
All right, Joan.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So we're talking about the tennis courts, right? I said it was the McGinn and Yard Works proposal.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so, any discussion?
Yeah, one of the things I just want to bring up is about the pickleball courts. So I've been going to the park quite a bit now on weekends, and those pickleball courts have a line of
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
using them. I haven't noticed a lot of folks. So I'm not discounting the tennis courts. The tennis courts must be done, but they're out there playing pickleball, and there's people waiting to play on the benches. And so if we can fit the pickleball courts into this year's budget, I would really be in favor of that, just because the amount of people and interest in those courts. If we can get something done this year, I would be in support of doing that.
And I agree with you, Dave. I support that 100%. I think the issue is the quotes we've received to fix the pickleball court vary from $4,500 to $12,000. So we have to really look at those bids, and then once we know, okay, you will do what we need you to do, then we're not going to do any work in the next week or two. We have to wait till the weather breaks. And we have till next month, the board meeting, to decide this. But yeah, I think there's a tremendous interest. And for us to go from 1 to 3 pickleball courts would be, that's what our people want. That's what they need. Pickleball.
Just based on what I see.
Tremendously popular. Yeah.
Been lingering around the pickleball courts like a creep. But, but there's a lot of people there using the pickleball courts. So,
yeah.
I mean, we'll get the proposals from Greg and the PRO next month, and then we have to look in terms of priorities and monies and budgets and all that good stuff. Yeah, I'll put my proposal, I mean, Greg, I know I already said this, but the earlier you get the information to Joan, then she can go give us a sense of what's in the budget, what's available, and then we have it in our briefing book. So if I look at it, we get the briefing books the weekend before the meeting. If that information can be to Joan the Friday before the meeting, I think that would make life easier for all of us. And then we can have a nice, fruitful discussion that Wednesday after.
Or can I just ask, Greg, that you get it before that Friday to pull it together to have it in the books? We deliver the books on Friday, so if you get it on Wednesday, that would be good. Sorry to push on that.
It does the work. It's not me. It's the staff. So I'm sorry. I apologize.
No problem.
Yeah, and just to make sure everyone's clear, you know, we did get all the estimates that we were ready to make the recommendation after getting this estimate, but he revised it this morning. So, you know, he changed the scope of work and that changed the price. So I understand what you're saying. You know, you're not looking at the final estimate, but yeah, unfortunately, it was just the timing was off on getting that.
And preparing a document like Paul did for tennis is really helpful too, where it's all laid out in one piece of paper. Where you know it just makes it's going to make the discussion a lot easier. I mean, you hear the willingness on our side. It's not like we're not looking to put roadblocks.
Yeah, no, I understand. All right, thank you.
So we're gonna vote on the tennis court and the water fountain tonight, correct?
Correct. So all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Great, we have 5-0. Excellent.
Okay. We'll talk to you next month, Greg.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Okay. Well, the next one, we're going to push till April based on advice of our solicitor, Mark Thompson, a request for demolition for 3327 Appleton Road.
Yeah, Mary, why don't I can add, so as the board knows, the 3327 Appleton Trust, of which Mr. DeFrancesco is the trustee, filed an application for demolition. Since the property is located, and this was for the historic dwelling on Appleton Road, since the property is located in the historic district, there is a process that an applicant needs to go through, which involves first the review of the HARB, the Historic Architectural Review Board, and HARB makes a recommendation on whether or not to recommend to the Board of Supervisors on the issuance of what's called a certificate of appropriateness. The HARB had made that decision and issued a report, and the board, pursuant to the ordinance, was required to act within 45 days, which would have been tonight. We did schedule that hearing, having not heard from the applicant, and we have a letter dated March 16th from Mr. DeFrancesco's counsel on behalf of the trust, giving the township more time to consider making a decision on the application and to give an opportunity to further discuss, terms by which we could possibly reach, a settlement agreement on the condition of the property. So we're going to defer any action on this for tonight based on that letter, and we will possibly reconvene on this matter in April. So there's really no action for the board tonight.
All right.
So Mark, you sent out a letter where you talked about a proposal that we got from Mr. DeFrancesco's lawyer. Could you explain what he's proposing, and how that may address what's going on?
Well, the property's been the subject of several demolition by neglect actions before the district court and the Court of Common Pleas. We were successful in one before Judge Schenken. In another action, the court did not find demolition by neglect that was before Judge Griffith. So we have been looking in light of those decisions to try to find a way, and certainly we have discussed with the applicant over the last several months in light of the processing of the demolition permit, possible ways to ensure that the historic dwelling is preserved, issues that are immediate issues are taken care of. And of course, this property is the subject of a subdivision plan, a 5-lot subdivision plan, which was approved by the township, I want to say at least 10 years ago. Nothing has happened with respect to that subdivision plan. There are 2 existing houses, one in the back on Franklin Road and one on Appleton Road. And Mr. DeFrancesco we have discussed over, the course of quite some time, ways to allow Mr. DeFrancesco and the trust to fund the subdivision. There are public improvements associated with that subdivision. And he has been making requests concerning selling off the rear lot. And we have had some back and forth concerning allowing that to proceed. And there's also a plan note that requires certain actions be taken on the historic dwelling. And that's a note that's on the approved subdivision plan. So we have been involved in those discussions. Hopefully we can continue those discussions and possibly reach an agreement, which would involve the withdrawal of the demolition application. So we've had a flurry of communications over the last several days, Donna, as you know, and hopefully we can find something that we can recommend to the township board for moving forward, so that all the parties would come out as winners, so to speak.
But as I heard you earlier in the meeting, based on your opinion and view of that subdivision plan, it really is linked to the Appleton, the 3327 Appleton project. They're not separate. And in your recommendation is not to treat them separately, that the subdivision plan has asked for certain things to be done to that property, and that needs to be fulfilled in order for us to agree to that subdivision plan.
There's a plan note. It has, I think it's 5 or 6 directives on that plan note, indicating certain actions would need to be taken to improve the historic dwelling concerning the roof and the bricks and the windows. Things of that nature, and that is a requirement of that subdivision plan. So when we were looking at a situation where there's a possibility that that house may not be there, we've got a subdivision plan that essentially you can't move forward with anymore, because that was specifically contemplated, the existence of that historic structure, and that was something the board thought was important when they approved it, important enough that there was a plan note requiring that certain actions be taken. There was another existing house, and then there's 3 lots essentially in between those 2 houses. And there are quite a few public improvements that would need to be, when you record a subdivision plan, you've got to put certain monies in escrow. And we have been talking about ways to ensure that escrow is funded, at least certainly before the subdivision plan would be recorded. So
another question, and then I'll turn it over to the rest of the board. If we have a subdivision plan that the board has approved, if Wayne and his lawyer worked on it and actually fulfilled the note on that plan, then we would go, it's something that we could just, it would be a done deal. That would be an easy, I won't say easy is the wrong word, but that would be a way to move that forward, is if the note on the plan, the requirements in that note were fulfilled, then automatically we could sign it and get it, sign and get it recorded, right? That there would be nothing to stop that from happening.
Well, there was a request for a lot line change for the lot in the rear. Now that's just so that, that would just allow one of the lots to be sold off. It would not allow the development of the subdivision plan. So to record the subdivision plan and essentially allow for the 3 lots that are in the middle between the 2 existing houses to be developed. Applicant, just like any other applicant, would need to sign what's called a financial security agreement with financial security, whether it be cash or a letter of credit, ensuring that the improvements such as stormwater, this has a trail, there's shared driveways, and there are some improvements to the intersection to the rear that are set forth in the approval to ensure that those improvements actually get done. So, and that was the original concept, was, the understanding was the trust didn't have any money and they wanted to try to fund the subdivision and they needed a way to do that. The township was trying to work with them at the time. The house became an issue when the porch fell down, and then we've been kind of going back and forth since that point. But there is an approved subdivision plan. There has been. So that requires that those issues related to the historic dwelling take place. So you are correct, Donna. If those were done, that would fulfill a major component of the plan. But the other major component being that we've got to have some money in escrow in order to record that.
All right, thank you, Mark.
All right, I have some requests for information. Here we are on the precipice of possibly voting on this tonight, and we delayed it because of some relief that the property owner gave us, but we were ready to vote on this thing. And the board has not been provided with critical information that would support us in this decision. Specifically, we received some information this week from an independent source. I'm not going to indicate where it came from, but did not come from the township or our attorneys. And it was a structural engineering report. It was probably the most relevant document related to this particular historic property that we have ever received. And it was not provided by the township or our attorney. So I'm pretty concerned about there. There were also some other documents that are of questionable value, but this one was extremely important. So I'm sensing that somebody is parsing or filtering information to the board. So I want to make sure that between now and the next time we have to vote on this thing, that every document that's relevant to this particular decision comes to the board in a timely manner. And I mean as soon as possible. I'm pretty upset about.
Well, let me just stop you there, John. So any reports that the applicant had submitted were reviewed by the HARB. The HARB had, I think, at least 3 meetings where all the applicant and the applicant's lawyer were given an opportunity to present whatever information they felt was relevant to the decision that HARB was going to make to recommend either, moving forward with the application or denying it. HARB did make a recommendation to the board. Tonight would have been an opportunity for the applicant, the DeFrancesco Trust, as well as their attorney, to present whatever information, witnesses, what have you, to the board for the board's consideration, to give you an opportunity to ask questions of any witnesses they might have, to give an opportunity to clarify anything that might be in a document that they would present. So they're given that opportunity, and that's in the context you're sitting as what would deem to be a quasi judicial function, as a fact finder and a decision maker, and you would be making that decision based on the record that the applicant would make before the board tonight. So there is information that information certainly had been presented, but I don't. That's kind of the process, John.
Let me put it back into.
I'm assuming that the applicant would to try to present whatever reports or witnesses that they presented to the Historic Architectural Review Board. But I'm not. I don't think we should talk about what they may or may not present. But if we get to the point next month, they want to present something concerning a report, whatever it may be, cost estimates, things of that nature, then, the board, I don't want you to prejudge anything. Certainly you're able to review what the HARB reviewed and what their recommendation was, but I don't want there to be too much discussion outside the scope of, what the board was going to hear tonight.
Well, let me put it in perspective here that we were on a precipice of making a decision tonight, and this document, which is so relevant to the decision, wouldn't have been provided to us. It didn't come from you. It didn't come from the township manager. So I'm really unhappy with the flow of information. How would we make a decision without a key piece of information that really reflects on that decision? So that's the point. So I'm asking that the township manager and the attorney provide all documents, all relevant documents that they have, and present them to the board as soon as possible, so we can at least look at this stuff in anticipation of a decision next month.
Agreed, John.
All right, I just want to make sure that I make this point strongly, because I'm pretty unhappy with what came to me this week, and I didn't ever see that document, and a number of others which are of lesser importance, but I never saw any of those documents before. No further comment.
Thank you, John.
Mary-
Mark, next on the agenda, Mark, is an update for Lexington Pointe. Can you
I can.
provide that? Thank you.
I can. I did speak with Stan Corbett, the township's consultant. Mr. Corbett from ACOM issued a letter today. They have reviewed the design drawings and specifications, and that they have multiple consultants that are reviewing these. And this was the process portion of these design drawings and specifications that have been presented by Lexington Pointe. And they do not have any more comments on that portion. We are waiting for township reviews on electrical plans as well as site plans. So this is one instance where I can say that we're not waiting for something from Lexington Pointe. The township's consultants should be providing their review shortly. And that would allow for essentially them to address any further issues and hopefully move forward with the permit application. So that's where it stands right now, Mary.
Mark, when would they start building? So, or, I mean, it almost feels like things are happening. This is exciting.
Well, I mean, we still have the agreement that the board approved last year. There's a lot of things that have to happen in that agreement, but I would agree with you. They are processing the plans for the actual treatment plant, and that's kind of, that could have gone faster, but it's moving forward. So there's still a lot of things that need to be done pursuant to that agreement, Donna. But you're right, moving in the right.
You think their goal is to start planning this spring and summer, right? To start building this spring and summer.
Plan. Yeah, that was the plan they articulated late last year.
Okay, all right. And Joan, I know there were a number of issues that they had where they weren't. There's a phone that had to be fixed, and there's, I don't know, things that had to be fixed. Are they doing the maintenance stuff? Are we getting done what needs to get done to keep the facility going, the pump and hole, until we actually have our treatment plant in?
They took care of the issue with the road. They regrade it and fix that area so the pump truck can get in. And the problem they have with the phone is actually Verizon's wiring, so that they installed a cellular system to take care of that.
So we actually have no complaints. Is that where we're at? Things are happening. It's good.
They had a fairly aggressive timetable. I'm not going to say that they're living up to that timetable. It was fairly aggressive. But the only thing I can say is that, it is moving forward.
All right, I guess just clarifying that the issue we had last month was that the phone line that was used as a telemetry device to convey a high-level alarm from the effluent tank was non-functional. What I just heard is that now it's been replaced by a cellular phone system. Is that thing fully functional to everybody's satisfaction? That's my question.
ACOM is satisfied with the way it's working.
All right, because that's a critical function on the existing system. It indicates the level of that tank.
All right, if there's no more discussion on this, Nancy, could you give a little background on this resolution to support Senate Bill 252 before you vote on it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
2109, our resolution is to support the Senate bill, which is to eliminate the need for newspaper printing of public notice of meetings. It's kind of archaic. It takes time and money to use the newspaper. There's the internet now, which is a nice way to communicate. And so the Senate is trying to respond, not just for townships, but for all government organizations that need to communicate to the public ahead of time, that we do it in ways other than newspaper printing. So I think that, I don't know, Joan, if there's anything else you want to say, but that's the gist of it.
That's it.
Yeah. So that's what we're voting on. So let me just mention, I make a motion to approve resolution 2021-09 to support Senate Bill number 252, session of 2021, referred to local government, amending Title 45, parentheses, legal notices of Pennsylvania consolidated statutes in legal advertising, providing for methods of advertising. And I know this doesn't, it just sounds like gobbledygook. Seconded by?
I'll second that.
Okay. Discussion.
I guess the only discussion for me is, the township spends a lot of money advertising these meetings, these public meetings. And quite frankly, most people now get their information from Facebook. They get their information from email, from our website. And those are pretty low cost alternatives, and they're much more impactful. So, from a township perspective and from getting information out to the people, I think this would have a really low impact on getting our information out there.
Well, Dave, I think the only ones who are going to oppose this, of course, are the newspapers, because this is a significant amount of revenue they're going to lose. And the legislator who introduced this is Republican from Dauphin County. And his office, when I called, said, we really need bipartisan support on this. And of course, our new state senator is Democratic, so that makes it bipartisan. But Joan has said if we pass this resolution, she will contact all her contacts in other townships, how we get behind it. Because this was introduced in the last legislature, went nowhere. We need to get this done. It's going to save everybody a lot of money, not just townships, not just Franklin Township, school boards, everything. And as you said, Dave, how many newspapers did you buy this week?
The issue is that, communicating by paper,
exactly,
thing is just an archaic way of communicating. Nobody reads that stuff or spends any time looking at it. So something on the internet is entirely appropriate.
Right.
I think hopefully the lobbying doesn't scuttle this bill, because I think it's important for all governmental functions to be able to advertise in a way that's in keeping with contemporary methods. So,
and John, PSATs is behind this 100%.
Yeah, I think what you got to look out for, and there's really not much we can do about it, but the lobbyists supporting the current methods will be very strong on this thing. So,
and I think that the key piece that we want to be clear on is we're not supporting not advertising public meetings.
Right.
We're supporting not advertising through an archaic, very expensive method of advertisement. And so it's not a position where the Franklin Township's in support of no longer advertising open meetings. It's really about doing what's most effective and concentrating our efforts there rather than maybe what might be the most least effective way of getting information out.
I think the key word is archaic, and we've used it a number of times. So I think it's appropriate to label it that way.
I will admit right here publicly, I still love reading the newspaper. Nothing like reading the Sunday New York Times. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, right.
So anyway, but no, I agree. This is a way that we can let people know what's going on through the venues that they're looking at, and they're not looking at the paper. So
Not only that, it's more timely. You can get
yeah, exactly, John. Exactly right.
Especially a change in a meeting or something. That's always a scramble if we have to change something. We're thinking about how many days we need it and how quickly we can get it into the paper. So
you're right.
Yeah. It's also helpful to note that with our new website capabilities, our residents can ask to be notified about any township information. So there's already a push from the township that lets residents know when there's going to be a meeting.
Yeah.
Again, it's dependent on using the internet and using our website, but it's certainly a more efficient method than what we have been doing.
We've come a long way, haven't we, Nancy, in a year? Thank you, Dave. Thank you. All right. So, John, could you take the next one, the conditional use resolution? I'm sorry, what?
We got to vote on the first resolution.
I thought we had it.
No, we just.
Oh, okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries 5-0.
all right, I'll take the next one. I make a motion that the board approve resolution 2021-10 conditional use, which will allow the township to escrow part of the conditional use fee. We have a second.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Donna. Discussion?
Just that we talked about this at the last meeting, and the way I read the resolution, it mirrors exactly what we discussed.
I have no.
Yeah, if I can just add when you have a complicated conditional use, what can happen is an applicant can apply to the township and get a whole bunch of reviews, and the township would have a lot of consultant fees that they would expend. And if that were land development, we would be able to basically recoup those costs. And, this prevents that from happening and allows us to do it at the conditional use stage. And if it's a simple application, then hopefully this will reduce the cost for everybody, including an applicant with just a simple request. So this is an amendment to the actual fee resolution that the township enacted at its first meeting of the year.
Yeah, I think this is a step in the right direction for sure.
I agree. Okay, do we have to take a vote, John?
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0.
Okay.
All right, Mary, I'll go for the next one.
All right.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve resolution 2021-11 to appoint Melissa Ortega as open records officer and reappoint Jeff Eastburn as deputy. Can I have a second for that, please?
I'll second it.
All right, John, thank you. So any discussion? It sounds like it's pretty straightforward. We need these positions, and we're just reappointing people. We're reappointing Jeff, and we're appointing Melissa. So we'll do the vote. So all in favor, say aye.
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 All right, great. Any opposed? Say nay. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, Mary, we're getting there almost to the end. Back to you.
Yeah, we're getting close to the end. Now's the time for public comment on anything that wasn't on the agenda tonight. Just please state your name, and if you're a resident or just a taxpayer. Any public comment?
Hello?
Yeah, Kevin, please.
Hi, my name is Kevin Reynolds. Excuse me. I live off of Churchill Road in Queen Lane.
Okay.
I wanted to bring up the possibility of maybe getting some lines on the road on Churchill Road between Auburn and Wickerton. Some of the turns are just really bad and blind. I've had a couple instances going around there where people drift towards the inside, and it's quite dangerous.
Kevin, I'll just comment. We are having our road meeting on Friday, March 26th.
Okay.
And this is an item we have been discussing. Jeff Eastburn, you're on here. Do you want to jump in and give some comments on this?
No, I think the resident's exactly right. And we do have a pricing for that. So we usually do that towards the fall. And that's certainly one of the roads we consider. I think it's 40 cents a linear foot, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Jeff, there's a minimum amount that we have to buy every year, and it's entirely appropriate because not only does it provide some discipline to the drivers, but on a rural road, the center line marker, especially a double yellow line, which we put down, makes the road feel narrower to the driver, and they slow down. Not only do they stay on their side of the road, but they slow down. So it gives them a tunnel feel. So there's a big safety improvement of doing this. So we need to do as much as the budget allows each year.
So Jeff, has this not been done? Because I thought we had done most of these roads. So is it worn away, or has it never been done? Like, can you just give me a history of this section of road?
Off the top of my head, Donna, I can't remember the last time it was done through there. So I'm almost sure it needs to be refreshed. Okay. So we did change the paint that we used this past time, which allows it to stay around longer. So I would recommend us doing that again.
Oh, definitely. I know you did the road on Auburn, and that the first time we did it, it went away like really fast, and now it's hung around a little bit longer. Okay, so you just think we may have done it just a while ago, and it didn't make the last grouping of roads, and now we'll get it this time. Okay. Well,
there are 3 grades of this striping material. I think we probably need to step up a grade, and that's what Jeff's doing. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think just a general comment. Part of the process this year about getting the road program was, we drove around some of the roads, and a lot of the conversation was just getting more striping down. So Kevin, I'm glad you came here tonight and talk about it, because I think that is a priority is one, getting the road surfacing up to where it needs to be, and then putting the striping down. So I think this is something that's important. So appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. That was really helpful.
All right, Kevin, thank you for your input, and this is something we will work on. Jeff, you took your notes, didn't you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, there you go. Is there any more public comment?
Yeah, I got one general comment
Okay.
at the end of the meeting, is that the last few meetings, we've been getting a lot of information coming in to the board that impacts decisions we're making the day of the meeting. And occasionally this does happen, but it seems really frequent now. So we need to get some discipline around people getting that information to us. If they can't get it to us, I don't want a major decision coming into the board in the middle of the day on Wednesday. We had one there back a few months ago. It was a $3,000 approval for an appraisal, and none of us heard it till about 12 p.m. on the day of the meeting. We've had a couple of things come in today on costs related to the park projects and others, but I can't think of others, but there've been quite a number of them in the last month, and we need to get some discipline around getting people to get this information to us the week before the meeting so we get a chance to review it. It's really difficult to get late information and then have to make a decision the same day.
Okay. Then we don't make a decision. We push it to the next month if they put us under the fire like that, John. I agree with you. I come in half an hour before the meeting and I sit down, I have to read, 14 emails. I'm not able to do that and then get on the meeting on, I agree with you, John. It is difficult. And I would appreciate if people could get this information to us. It can't always happen. We know that, but I guess the answer is if we can't deal with it all, it has to go to the next month's meeting.
I think
It just
that's
has to.
what we do, but I hate to do that, but we just see.
I know, but we have to do what we have to do. We have to give everything sufficient thought.
I appreciate your comment, Mary. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Any more public comment? It's not 9 o'clock yet, guys. Come on.
Amazing.
All right. If there is no more public comment, we'll close this meeting at 8:54 p.m.
Good
Thank
job.
you,
Thank you,
everybody.
everybody. Thank you, Ryan, for coming in today. with your
Everybody.
project.
Yeah, really
it.
appreciate all the input we had. Great.
Thank you.
All right. Have a nice evening. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yay.
Yeah.